John Lusk here of Lusk Archery Adventures. Series testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing another cool head by VIP. You might have seen me test the VIP Veteran a while back with some of the older tests that I did, but thanks to a buddy of mine, Dave, he sent me a pack of these 125 grain VIP Combat Veterans. It's their hybrid head. So I'm really eager to put this thing to the test. For all of 2021, I'm using a certain set of tests that you can read about in the description box below this video and read, how I do the tests and why I do those tests as well. And I'm using my Bowtech SR6 set at 72 pounds, and I'm using Bishop FOC King Arrows for most of the testing, but then I use the Bishop FAD Eliminators for the really hard impact tests. So let's check out this Combat Veteran. So here's the Combat Veteran, and man, there's so much going on here in this head. I'm going to try to cover it all, but it's loaded with unique intricacies in its design. First of all, it's a hybrid head, and hybrid meaning it has a significant amount of cut even in the closed position. So in the closed position, the cutting diameter of the main blades is 1 1/8 inches, and the cutting diameter of these cross blades is 1 inch. So if the blades were not to open at all, you're still cutting 2 1/8 inches with these blades. Okay, that's more than most fixed blade heads and more than most mechanical heads in the open position. Okay, that's interesting to think of it that way. But then when they open, these two blades go from 1 1/8 inches to 2 inches, and these go from 1 inch to 1 1/4 inches, bringing the total cut from 2 1/8 to 3 1/4 inches of cut. That's a lot of cut. Okay, so now some of the materials. The tip here is this chisel tip that they say is designed for maximum bone penetrating ability. It's made out of titanium. It's got a little hole that goes through it, and that's just so you can insert a really small diameter Allen wrench and unscrew it to access the blade assembly inside. The ferrule is aluminum, but it's a 7075 T6 aluminum, a very stout aluminum, stronger than some steels. And then the blades are 440A stainless steel, and they're brought to a Rockwell hardness of 58. By my measurements, they're 0.035 inches thick. Now, what's really unique to the Combat Veteran, in addition to the amount of tissue it cuts, is the way the blades deploy. Like the Veteran, the original that didn't have this cross blade to it, there's an internal spring mechanism. And so, unlike every other mechanical head, that when it penetrates, there's some sort of pressure from penetration that forces the blades to open, these have a pressure stored up from that internal tension of that internal spring, that when it's tripped, the blades, boom, spring open with a force that does not come out of the penetrating force of the broadhead. Rather, it's that internal force of the spring under tension. So it's like as they penetrate, boom, there's like this mini explosion, if you will, from the spring, and these blades, boom, they shoot open. So you're getting kind of like an extra power opening that doesn't take away from the penetration of the broadhead. That's really unique. So not only does it not sacrifice the penetration of the broadhead for the blades to open, but it actually increases the ability of the blades to open fast and strong with that extra pressure from the absorbed spring. So I'm really eager to put this head to the test and see how it performs. $275. It penetrated 7.5 inches. $300. It penetrated through 40 layers. Here's the Combat Veteran after 5 shots into the MDF, and it did extremely well. The blades still functioned, opened and closed perfectly. There's not any bending. The only sign of a little bit of wear is at the base of the ferrule on each side when this blade is forced back at really high impact. Now this is after 5 shots. It puts a little bit of a divot in that aluminum base. And you know what, honestly, that's not without design, okay? It's by design in a sense that they want to have some sort of something to absorb some of the impact to keep the blades from breaking. There's a little bit of give that you have there in the ferrule while still allowing the broadhead to stay intact and even be reusable. Here's the combat veteran after the impact with the concrete, and you can see it did not do very well in the concrete. Now it's interesting because with the MDF, it was one of the most durable mechanical heads and hybrid heads that I've tested. It did very well. But on the zero penetration test, it just did not. The ferrule basically broke in half, and then that caused all the blades to be dislodged there. But, you know, I still hunt with a lot of broadheads that don't do well on the concrete test. It's not, you know, a deal breaker for me by any stretch of the imagination. But it is interesting just to see what happened nonetheless. So what'd you think of the combat veteran? Man, I gotta tell you, there's a lot I really like about this head. I love the creativity of that spring-deployed blade, and I love the way that they've added this this kind of fixed blade dimension to it, to the original veteran, making it hybrid. Love the cut size in the closed position as well as the open position. Love the flight. Love the durability in the MDF. The only drawback was the impact in the concrete, but it's a good opportunity for me to kind of reiterate that's not really that essential when it comes to a hunting situation, right? It's good to note, and you know, some broadheads can handle that and others can't handle that. But in using a mechanical head, you're really not selecting it to be able to handle an impact into concrete, okay? Typically, you're selecting a mechanical head because you want a really big cut and you want really good flight. And sometimes durability is compromised, and you can see that in the MDF. But with this head, it did so well in the MDF, and its durability was proven in that, I would still certainly hunt with it, even though it didn't do that well in the concrete test. I actually did get to hunt with this head shortly after finishing this video, so I want to insert the results here. I shot this deer at 35 yards, and here's the entrance hole. Now, I've muted the color out of respect for YouTube's policies. I don't want it to be offensive. And then here's the exit hole. It went clean through the deer. And then here's the broadhead still in very good condition afterwards. But you check out the score sheet and see how it performed in the areas that mattered to you the most. But I say, great job, VIP. Keep up the great work. And I look forward to seeing what you come out with in the future.